Good afternoon, everyone. For those who are watching us from Europe, good morning to everyone who is watching us from the US. Good late nights for everyone in Asia. So we're back again, and I'm leveraging the position of the moderator for this panel. After this panel, Dylan, our today's MC, will take it over. So this panel actually is super exciting. So we have decent gentlemen from the Dotsama ecosystem who will be covering like mostly all the DeFi swap and exchange use cases in the space, including like liquid staking from the side of covered from the side of Tyrone from Bifrost. Gleb is on the AMM side, Deepansh on the side of orderbook-based DAXs. So the topic for this panel is pretty exciting. It's approach to utilization of Dotsama assets in DeFi. And let's firstly start with self intros. Let's make it short and sweet because we have a lot of things on the table to discuss. Who wants to start first? Let it be maybe Gleb.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex. My name is Gleb. I'm co-founder and CTO of Manta, and Manta, for once you don't know, it is based on liquidity utilization, on maximizing users' liquidity profits by providing it to different aggregations, staking, and other platforms.
Amazing. Deepansh?
Yeah, sure. This is Deepansh here. I'm one of the co-founders at Polkadex. And just to give a one-liner pitch for our project itself, we plan to be the trading platform for the Web3 DeFi, sufficing the need of day traders to institutions to the noise one through our project itself. So yeah, this is something from mine.
Amazing. Tyrone?
Right, thanks, Alex. My name is Tyrone from Bifrost Finance, and I'm the council member and the product manager of Bifrost. Bifrost is a protocol to provide liquid staking on Dotsama and Polkadot power chain, and we are actually now on a Dotsama power chain. And in the following, we actually ongoing the bidding of Polkadot power chain as well as Polkadex. So that should be very interesting.
Cool. Thanks, guys, for this very useful information. So let's start with the first question, which is related to the topic of today's panel, obviously. Like my first question is, which assets are you guys considering the most valuable for your audiences? And by that, I mean, by the way, assets not just necessarily from the Polkadot or Dotsama ecosystem, but also some assets from other blockchain networks bridged to Dotsama. Yeah, so who wants to take it first?
Yeah, if I just add in my points and then we can go ahead. As for us itself, since we are also planning to be a parachain, it's very important not just to we have the interoperability, but the interoperability around different layer one solutions as well. For us, the priority will always be integrating with the DOT ecosystems, the parachain itself, all the substrate-based projects that are building right now, close to 1,000+ projects are building using the substrate framework. So we plan to integrate with all these solo chains as well as the parachains to have those assets being tradable in our order book. And I believe, assuming Gleb can have his own input on the AMM side of things as well. But for us as well, having the same mindset of having all these tokens being tradable in the order book will be the priority. But down the lane, to have this interoperability among the different chains, the second chain that we will be focusing on is bridging with the Ethereum ecosystems. And then again, we have a lot of parachains who are building the CVM compatibility and helping them, of course, kind of makes sense for us. So the first target, just to summarize, will be the DOT, the parachain substrate-based project, and later down the lane, the ETH ecosystem for us. So,
I can only agree what Ethereum assets are of high importance for entire Polkadot system, because obviously we can say what assets of other Polkadot projects are very important, and they are indeed, but we are taking those for granted because we have our cross-chain protocols, because we have XMP, X tokens, we can send tokens back and forth between the projects, and we already have it here, and we already have community baking those tokens and helping us to grow the value. But also the real gain for the entire ecosystem is pulling into Polkadot ecosystem tokens and assets from different ecosystem, be it Ethereum, Solana, even Bitcoin. So as soon as traders, DeFi users will realize it can be much more beneficial to provide and trade their assets on Polkadot chains, on application-specific blockchains, than on general purpose blockchains, when we will get, it's just a question of efficiency of the gains and utilization of the liquidity. It will be a real gain for ecosystem. So that is why we are highly aim to attract liquidity from other ecosystems, and sometimes even say, yes, Mangata is a Polkadot native exchange, but we are staying in between ecosystems, and the Ethereum ecosystem definitely will be the first one to integrate.
What do you think, Darren? I think you guys more
definitely
more sort of on the side of the Polkadot ecosystem rather than working with other chains and other assets from various other blockchain universes. So what do you think of that? It would be interesting to hear your perspective.
Yeah. Bifrost doing is we are actually bridging the outside assets from Ethereum and even Filecoin to the Polkadot ecosystem. What we are doing is we actually can provide the liquidity for all proof of staking mechanism blockchains. So our mission is to provide 80% of the post chains staking liquidity and bridging up from the external blockchain to Polkadot ecosystem. And by now we have already bridged up about 18,000 Ethereum staking derivative from the smart contract to the Moon River side, and that's the part. And the next step, we will going to launch the the Filecoin derivative upcoming, and I think that's the step by step the mission that we gonna do. And in the near future, I think the main stage should be the top level blockchains of like Solana and Avalanche, so to bridging up the assets from that side. So that's just something specific points that I can share with you. So that's what Bifrost's doing.
Got it. So as for my understanding, like we have the consensus here. So we have the Polkadot based assets and some assets from the outside, and they're kind of equal in terms of their importance for DeFi liquidity and overall liquidity in the platform in Polkadot. So my next question is kind of related more to some practical implication of that. So how are you guys planning to bootstrap this initial liquidity for all these assets, both for Polkadot native and for assets from the outside? Glad
I believe
to be first.
Yes, it will be an easy question for me because right now we finished planning and preparation for our Bootstrap campaign, which launching in May. So the idea is, and that idea comes directly from Mangata being an AMM-based exchange. So we have pools with 2 tokens, and the very logic and simple way to bootstrap the assets, is to provide users ability to contribute for a limited period of time assets to the both sides of pair, and then after reaching the equilibrium, be it based on volume or time, release it and say that is an initial price of a token. If the price of token is previously unknown, and if its price is known, the market will efficiently discover the same price, rediscover its price without help of external oracles during the bootstrap period. So basically, that's the bootstrapping mechanism we are launching for Mangata tokens. So instead of putting strains and predictions on the price, we will just allow to anyone to contribute to the pools of Mangata and Kusama. And for the future, we are planning to utilize the same mechanism for new tokens who want to participate in such bootstrapping way. And for the other tokens which are brought into ecosystem, it can be reused as well, but with an exception. We already have the price discovered for those tokens. So that is the mechanism we are aiming for. And obviously, the incentives for participating in bootstrapping are liquidity rewards and incentivization for liquidity mining. For the high value pairs, they also could be staked on Mangata because we are doing a proof of liquidity in order to utilize liquidity and not just Mangata tokens being staked or deadlocked for a certain period of time doing no work, but instead that bootstrapped staking palette, which also can help to attract liquidity, because collators on Mangata chain do need to provide their stake in order to compete for collating activities, and to provide stake, they need to bring that value to Mangata ecosystem, and even if they want to use their Ethereum assets, they can do so.
Will there be any additional sort of incentives for your users to bring over this liquidity? I think the audience, our today's audience, will be very interested in learning more about that.
Oh yeah, the conception is the governance. So in a way, democracy will decide which pools are more valuable, so which pools deserve more rewards, and in this way they will balance, not us, but they will balance which pool are incentivized more. So if the community vision is more liquidity should be brought from the outside ecosystem, they can decide it by voting for more incentivization for external pools.
Sounds good. And yeah, so Deepansh, I think liquidity for order book based DEX is a little bit different story, and definitely, like, you know, the depth of liquidity in the order book is also the cornerstone topic for the DEX success. So can you maybe also elaborate on everything?
Yeah, at this point itself will take a lot of hours for getting the whole circle to be finished. But I believe, just to summarize, bootstrapping liquidity, not just for Polkadot, but for almost all the layer one solution have been a really hard. It's not like that easy. You can, of course, have this artificial liquidity to be available when you kind of a kickstart, but during our inception itself as an order book, most of the exchanges failed in 2018 because of the same reason. And again, most of the AMM pools even right now have those struggle unless there's an artificial bootstrap. Under the condition, there's no intrinsic value add. There's nothing new that you're trying to come up with that is benefiting the community. So this point of bootstrapping liquidity has always been our conversation during the inception of Polkadex itself. And one of the main reasons that we come up with is, unless you have a product that is specifically catering to a certain need, then only these liquidity can be bootstrapped. And for us itself, bootstrapping liquidity is not a main focus. We believe it has to be in a very gradual process. In day one, you cannot have $1 billion locked for you. And if that is the case, again, there's a lot of artificial pumping going there. So for us, we haven't been worried so far when it comes down to having liquidity in the order book or in our own chain itself, since we follow the multi-chain, having our own mainnet where we release the product, and having the parachain to connect and bring assets from the Dot ecosystem, Dotsama ecosystem. So for us, it has to be a very gradual process. And if going with the first principle again, if you have a value add where there's something that you are providing that no one else is providing, not in the Dot ecosystem, but again in the whole n number of layer one protocol that you have right there. If there's a specific value at that, why exactly your order book or why exactly your DEX is beneficial as compared to other exchanges, if that is very clear, then liquidity won't be any issue. again, during day one, again, we ourselves don't believe that we will have $10 million volume trading during day one of Polkadex releases in late May. So this is something that we have looked into it, and we understand the gravity of having liquidity, but we believe that it has to be gradual, not in a step-by-step process. But again, to have certain threshold to be available during the release, we have this liquidity mining program, again, as very similar to how DYDX and other exchanges have bootstrapped themselves. But we want it to be more perpetual in nature, where blockchain is incentivizing you to bring volume, and then again, you are being incentivized by the blockchain itself to bring those volumes. So just completing the whole incentive model itself. So this is how we believe it can kickstart. But down the lane, in a long term, liquidity can only be tracked by any protocol only once there is something really interesting going on. So yeah, just something.
Right. Taiwan, do you want to take over?
Right. Thanks, Alex. I have to say this panel is really interesting. That we're sitting right here with two DEXs, amazing DEXs in Polkadot ecosystem. So so this question is especially for me is about how the Bifrost can integrate with these DEXs on Polkadot, and how we can bootstrap the initial liquidity from the blockchains. And on Bifrost side, we actually taking in the underlying, or we can say the general assets from the external blockchains or the pouches, and all these assets need to initially boosted by definitely the DEXs, and we can say the native requirements from the users that doing staking, they have the nature requirement to trade it during the staking period, and to absorb the liquidity from the DEXs. So about the functions and the way that how to do the trading and bootstrap and incentives is I think that's the expert of for DEXs. And what we can do is only to mint the underlying token for the derivatives and the liquidity to handle it to the DEXs, and that's how an organization of the ecosystem. Thanks.
In Tehran, just maybe one cool question for you as well. So why do you think users will be bridging liquidity from other chains to Polkadot? Like, what's the use case for that, given that you guys are specializing on these things?
Yeah, I think the main factor is I have to say users will be attracted by the AXIM of Polkadot, which is I have to say that's a trustless way to bridge each blockchains together. So from the views of previous months, we have seen some of the famous bridges have some issues on it, and I think that's beneficial for the Polkadot ecosystem, or we can say it's benefit for the same mechanism, same consensus like Polkadot, like Cosmos maybe, and under this consensus and the relationship between the power chains, by using the common format and a common bridge of transact the assets and the messages with fully trustless way to do that. So the security and the safe of assets is the first priority, right? And I can say that's the main point to track the external blockchains into it and the protocols.
Right, and I definitely think that internal composability of Polkadot is one of the unique features for this platform, which definitely incentivizes more people to come and to see how exactly this works. And this is a nice point to make transition to my next question, which is related to the Axiom integrations with other parity chains. And I'm curious how you guys approach that, how you set priorities maybe, like what's your vision on that? Yeah, so Deepansh, do you have any like specific things to share that?
Yeah, for us, since down the lane itself, there are going to be many parachains, and prioritizing it based on the integration seems to be a very obvious choice to do. And for us as well, we plan to integrate with most of the event compatible parachain who are building right now in the ecosystem. And so this is going to be our priority. And but doing this shameless plugging of first we becoming a parachain, and then only these sort of thing can be taken into action from our end itself. Though just to make it very clear, the EVM compatible chains and chains who can bring stable coins itself will be our priority. So,
makes sense. Tyrone, you have some hands-on experience, I believe, with exam integrations so far. So what's your vision on these integrations? Sorry, man, you muted.
All right, thanks. From our past experience, we are actually using the Axiom v2 for several protocols on Bifrost chains. The first one is for the slot auction liquidity protocol that we actually applying for users to transact the Kusama from the relay chain to Bifrost power chain by using the Axiom, and upward and downward messages between Bifrost and the relay chain. And I have to say the Axiom is not mature enough, and is on the growing way. And we expect that the Axiom v3 can upcoming with the query response for different functions in relay chain about maybe validating, and the governance and something like that. So each specific functions that can be queried by the power chain. So that's the starting of we all can do using the trustless way to do the interoperability with relay chain and the power chains. So yeah, that's my way.
Lab, do you want to add anything on top of that?
Yes, I wanted to say what from Mangata perspective, XM protocol and X tokens protocol is not only about what to bring to Mangata, but what also to give away to other chains and to other platforms. Because the measures of TVL, I believe, is not really the top priority for Polkadot chains right now, for each of the Polkadot chains, and it may be not the right way to think about chain popularity and utilization if they are so composable between each other. So user may provide a huge amount of stake for one product, which through XM protocol will end up being locked on completely different solution. So, and nothing better in it. The real big measure of the chain success in such a fluent ecosystem is the value of amount of value which is transferred through it and to different parachains. So the really good measure will be how much of assets, how much of liquidity is transferred, is interacted with different platforms. And that is what we are aiming for. And that is how we want to use the AMM liquidity, because AMMs are not really efficient on its own by utilizing their liquidity. Only like 20% of liquidity locked is actually used in trades, and the rest is deadlocked. And what we are aiming for is utilize it in different chains. For example, providing exactly those tokens to Polkadex to enable order book trading on the same volumes, or staking the very same liquidity on Bifrost. And in this way, it can be really composable and a win-win solution for every network participant.
Amazing. I think this definitely makes sense. and some additional incentives for value transfers might also make sense, like from my perspective. So unfortunately, we are running out of time almost. So we have just 1 minute for each of panelists to wrap this amazing conversation up. So maybe just my general question, like the last one, related to how exactly the DeFi liquidity on Polkadot should take off. Like, which measures should we actually take to make the ecosystem work and to bootstrap everything? Like, if you have some perspective on that, and maybe on the future of DeFi and Polkadot, just that you can share just real quick, that will be very helpful. And we'll be wrapping up after that.
I have a very fast one-sentence view. It's cooperate and compose. Every single stale piece of value should be used, and if it cannot be used in one product, it should be reused in other. So that is how we can achieve the great goals.
Absolutely, 100% agree with Gleb here. That cooperation is the only way looking forward in an ecosystem where, again, with almost all the ecosystem, there are many projects who try to deliver or cater to the same audience by having similar value proposition. But in the Dotsama ecosystem, what I have specifically seen is there's a lot of collaboration that can be done so that the market is not for any specific project. The market can be shared if you have an infinite market fit. So in places where there's a lot of synergies, I believe it can be one of the most strongest and the synergist way to move forward. So yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, the liquidity means we can flow the assets from one side to the other side. So that's also the meaning of interoperability, and that's the underlying of the main usage of Polkadot XDMP. So I'm pretty exciting about it, and that's the success feature for Polkadot.
Amazing. Definitely cooperation, collaboration, and partnerships. That definitely what makes this ecosystem work. And we're looking forward to working with you guys on various use cases and things that we're building all together. Yeah, we're making DeFi cross-chain and bring the dream of cross-chain interoperability to the reality, basically. Thank you very much for the conversation. It was really interesting to see to hear your insights on various things related to DeFi liquidity on Polkadot. So yeah, I think we'll be wrapping up our panel. Yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Alex. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for